Hello and welcome into the Sorare Data Show. I'm Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare today to talk about not a road to glory, but whatever FATG means. Shout out to everybody who read it as Fat G, because when I finally wrote it down, I was like, oh, it looks like Fat G. It is not Fat G. We'll find out what it is in a little bit. Thank you to everybody for coming in. Looks like Malky, Kev Hurd, who was guessing failure at the glory, and Liam. Appreciate the thought there on the thumbnail, Liam, on the podium. Anyway, so congratulations to you three. Bob Franklin coming in fourth. It's understandable that Bob can't be on the podium every day, but Bob, appreciate you actually being here every day, or as much as you can. And that goes to everybody. Bob just got thrown off my own stream. Fail again to glory. That's a good one too. John Andrews, what's up? Germ says, Jesus, for a missed penalty allowed someone to bump me off of the podium in Division 5 Limited. I'm back on the Jesus out train. Oh, all right. Jesus to glory. Bazzer, what's up? Toby and Rami, we trust. Happy Friday. That's right. Sora Cumry, what's up? Mikey Baston, 5 p.m. That's right. Beer time. Hope you're enjoying one. Major NFT, hello. Sora Burrow, Peter, thanks for coming in. Arthur, Simo, Bruzel, Vitor, Ricomon. Really appreciate everybody coming in. It's Friday. I feel like we've had a pretty good week. And I've done some really weird things in my gallery this week that I don't usually like to talk about, like my own moves on Sorare, but last week's episode with Gator Guy, which I literally had to change the name of the video and the thumbnail because I think the discussion that we had, this is so arrogant, my God. I think the discussion we had was one of the more important ones that has been had in the Sorare space in a while. And I still think people are trying to institute the strategy that they think we talked about, but it's actually way off. And there are just certain aspects of that discussion that I was like, I'm going to try some of this week. And so that's what we're doing. Ryan says, do we get to request memes for the thumbnails now? What's funny is I did like meme thumbnails very briefly when I started doing the solo stream. I did one with the Uno cards. Now I'm trying to remember what it was. And I actually saw someone have one of those this week. It was like the give up trading with bots or draw 25 cards. I'm going to like see if I could scroll through our old. Sorry, this is riveting content here of watching me scroll through it. Maybe I didn't do it. I swear I did though. Maybe I used it somewhere else. Anyway, as if I'm doing thumbnails for a bunch of other things. But no requests. We'll do it. Sorare Toon Army 10. Thanks for coming in. First time watching live. Love to see that. Red or Dead 69. Thanks for coming in. Jakob. Appreciate that. So yeah, I'm going to let's just get into that now. I apologize. I was a minute late. Actually, I don't even think I was a full minute late. I was trying to finish the last bit. I have 4 minutes and 3 seconds left of the Sorare homies that came out today with this guy, Andy Black, on that. I've never heard of this guy. And so it was nice to like hear his thoughts on the game. So if anybody doesn't listen or watch that, Sorare homies, just search it on YouTube or Spotify. It's Gator Guy 231's new weekly show. So he actually sent me a screenshot of part of their conversation and asked if I could guess who it was, and I knew exactly who it was right away. So yeah. Anyway, KCOM said, as a SR newbie, do we think that means so rare or super rare? I'm going to guess so rare. As a Sorare newbie, I made my first big moves this week, bringing in Palmer and Poro in season with the classic Raya. So looking forward to the weekend. That sounds like really expensive super rares, if they were super rares. Yeah. So anyway, the Mike said, if you haven't reached the end, you've not seen the best bit. So it's funny you say that, Mike. I was warned about the end, and yet I'll see it after. That's it. That's it. Anyway, so what I wanted to discuss today, in response to our stream last week, which, if you guys haven't seen it, it is now called the bet. Actually, I'll just pull it up here so you guys can really see it. So it's obviously on the Sorare Data YouTube channel, but it's this one right here: the best Sorare strategy no one is using. And part of the conversation that that we had that day was essentially don't it actually started with like, don't overlook the quality of matchups just because of the players that you have, but it's actually, maybe we should focus on matchups and make the players fit to the matchups that are coming up. And Keith had this this experience with Real Betis that he is now done with. If anyone has noticed or like looks at his transactions, I believe he sold basically, it wasn't all of them, but like a good chunk of the Real Betis guys. And his whole strategy was basically, Real Betis have like, it was like 4 very good matchups in the next 6 game weeks. I'll buy these guys when they're at the beginning of it because they're much cheaper than buying guys at Real Madrid or Barcelona. This was to play in La Liga. And I'll use the cheaper guys to work my way up to Division 1. And then when I get to Division 1, I will buy the good players to try to win Division 1, even though I don't think he's going to end up doing that anyway. I think he's still going to try to, as we affectionately like to say, he's going to try to gator guy himself into first place, which I don't think is necessarily bad, to be honest. But the inspiration essentially for what I tried to do this week was, I think the game can be easier than we're making it. Let me rephrase. I think winning can be easier than we're making it seem, which is weird because winning is very hard. And obviously I haven't done it yet. So it's not, meaning I haven't used this new, like, I don't even want to call it a strategy, but I'm trying it this week in 2 competitions, and just to see if what I think might work out will work. And I'm doing it at the limited level for 2 reasons. One is that the prices are much cheaper. And so it's easier to kind of, I think, what's the term that Nep uses? Theory craft. And this is not, I'm not really, I guess I'm crafting the theory. I don't know. But because I actually bought the cards. But the prizes are still very, very good. And so a lot of the conversation that Keith and I had, which we're going to continue, I'm hoping next week, is people are either underestimating the amount of risk that they're taking on, or they're overrating the reward based on that risk. And what came from that was essentially if you're starting new and you're in like lower divisions, or not even, well, yeah, if you're starting new, meaning even if you've been on the platform a while, let's say you never played Bundesliga and now you're playing Bundesliga, like you're going to start at Division 5 in limited, 4 in rare, most likely. And if you're starting at that point, buying really expensive players to work your way up may feel like it's easier to move up because you're like, I have really good players. And so like they'll help me get promoted. And the gigantic risk that many people are ignoring is if something happens to one of these high profile players. And when we recorded last week, kind of the example was Rodri. If you were somebody who spent a lot of money on Rodri, and Keith was playing, he did the Betis thing in rare and limited, but we primarily focus on rare. But he was essentially saying, like, if you spent $1,500 on a Rodri rare to work your way up from Division 4 in the Prem to Division 1, and he gets hurt like he did, that is a huge loss for you, like massive. And do you need to take that big of a risk monetarily when you're in Division 4. And so his idea was just, let me see if I can work my way up from the lower divisions to the higher divisions, playing matchups and good players in good matchups instead of great players in whatever they have. And the that conversation was continued on this Wednesday's show. Was it Wednesday? Yeah, this Wednesday show with Surfula. And he wanted to come on because that conversation that I had with Keith had him looking at his own cards differently. And if you didn't watch that show, Surfula used to be, or he is still very much into like the Argentina Superliga and South American. Well, not even, I don't think he's like big in Brazil. I was going to say like South American football, but he's not really. It's Argentina, and he's expanded a little bit to Liga MX in Mexico. But he generally spent a long time playing Champion America and then Contender. And this year he wanted to play in-season Prem. And so he bought these in-season Premier League cards, and he was like, I thought what I bought was really good for the season. And the discussion that Keith and I had kind of changed the way that he looked at his cards and thought about the viability of those cards winning. And he made these massive changes. Well, yeah, he made some massive changes to his in-season Prem like gallery based on the fact that he had bought really good cards, but had kind of ignored how often they correlate together. And that's like card correlation. And I don't mean like two players from the same team even, but just that you want to have 5 cards that have good matchups in the same week. Because if you don't, ultimately it's going to come up short every single week. You have 3 good scores and like 2 okay ones, or 4 good scores and 1 terrible score, because it's like, oh, you didn't realize that that's the week that whoever plays Man City. And so he was saying he's starting to look in like 5 to 6 game blocks, which is what Gator Guy was saying. And Alex here in chat was saying the thing with Surfula looking at his Prem cards and seeing in 5 to 6 game blocks definitely struck a chord with me. And we are getting more and more people to think this way. And, or at least more people are acknowledging that maybe that's a beneficial thing to do. But I still think a lot of people are ignoring it, and that we get really focused on spending up for the best players because they are the best players. And we don't think about how do my players fit together over the next 5 or 6 game weeks. And it could be longer. And I think one of the mistakes a lot of people make is thinking, because sorry to go off on that. We have a very weird timing dynamic in Sorare, that we have these cards forever, which was really just like the length of a player's career. And now we have these in-season cards, and we're like, okay, we have an entire season to get our value. We're paying more for in-season cards, but ideally than we are classic. And ideally, the amount that we overpay from the classic cards, we make back over the course of a season. And on one side, you're just like, man, that's not a lot of time. I got to like make this back quickly. And yet a lot of people build their galleries with this idea of like, I have all season to get my Ipswich stack to return, or my Southampton stack, or my Betis stack. And Keith's strategy, which he jokingly asked me not to talk about. I hope he's joking, because we were talking about it, and we already did, and we're going to do it again. But that strategy is actually not even close to this is how you make your money back in a year, or in a season, which is really like 8-9 months. But it's actually, if you design your gallery correctly, you may be able to get back in 6 weeks. And I'm not saying that it's easy to do this and that that's the way you should play. However, I do think that we still need to focus more on the short-term matchups, and not just of individual players, but of lineups. That if you have a, 3 players with very good matchups in the next 6 games, or even if it's 4 of the next 6, and everyone else just kind of doesn't, how much can you reasonably expect to win over that time span? And the more 6-week blocks you take, eventually the season's gone. And so Keith has always had more of, not like a trader mentality, but Keith has long kind of argued that the cards are your way into competitions, but you shouldn't necessarily think that you need to keep them forever. And so his whole strategy with Bettis was, once these good fixtures are over, like, they're not as helpful to him. So we'll just get rid of them. And he just got rid of them, some of them. After moving his way up, I think he cashed in one of the, in Division 3 maybe, or 2, I don't know. He hasn't gotten to Division 1 yet. But that doesn't mean that, like, it's been a failure, because he did move up and he returned some, and now he just sold all these cards for a profit, or most of them for a profit, which, again, for how many times people will look at previous scores and think, oh, I'm going to go get that player, not appreciating that that player just had 3 of the best, his 3 best matchups of the season. And everyone's like, oh, he's in form. It's pretty good. And it's like, well, yeah, he played the 3 worst teams in the league now. And guess what? He doesn't play them again in those situations. 3 worst teams at home. You don't play those 3 teams again at home until next season, assuming they all even stay in the league. And so we're like, it's so common, this like score chasing. And I'm not saying it's bad that a player is like hot and you buy them, but there's too many purchases being made and lineups being made based on what has happened. And it's like a 70-30 split of consideration, that the 70% of the thought of, should I play this guy, is what have they just done? And the 30% is, what can they do in the following weeks? And so you look and you're just like, oh yeah, he scored goals in 5 straight games, I'm going to buy that guy. And then you look and you're like, oh, it's at Real Madrid, home against Barcelona, home against Betis, and then at Atletico Madrid. And it's like, what are you going to get out of that? And very few people are focusing on these matchups. That basically made me do this, as I don't even want to call it a challenge. And now that I'm beyond the 5 minutes, I can explain it. So I started buying cards. Let me catch up on the chat. Sorry, because I just realized I was talking for a long time here. Yeah, sorry. Major MT says, I have all the right cards. I keep just choosing the wrong ones. Toby said, it's such a good strategy and mindset. Mike says, so has in-season now killed long-term planning? Now we're talking about not even planning for a season, perhaps dropping to 1 or 2 months. I don't think... I would argue that full season-long planning with the same cards is bad strategy and always has been. And I'm not saying you can't like make your money back at some point in the season, but you need to figure out where your spots are for your gallery, not just individual card. Oh, this card's really good in game week 19. Let me play him there. Like, you need to, the planning. If you're long-term planning, it has to be better than this will pay off at some point, because at some point they'll be home against Bournemouth, and that's when it'll pay. Like, that's not good enough. Toby said, take the Austrian Bundesliga special this game week. I'm sure many Sturmgratz and RBS players, and they play each other. Mikey Bass with the sharp. I went to Lask. Toby said, I wish Hatlingen was here. He's implementing Keith's strategy with Wolfsburg and Hoffenheim. I actually sent that to Keith, who both have solid matchups the next 5-ish weeks, and they correlate. So it's not so much that they correlate. It's that they almost don't correlate week to week. But like, basically he's like, Wolfsburg, and you could probably do this. And since it's Gator Guy, we'll just use, if you're at home, it's a good matchup. And if you're away, it's a bad matchup. But you could almost do it with Liverpool and Everton. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought they never played at home in the same weekend. Maybe I'm assuming they mostly don't. And that's obviously an expensive way to do it. But it's like, if you always want a home team, like, you just take, or do it with the Madrid team, whatever it is. But I think that's really good strategy. Yeah. So Rare Soul, excuse me, said, I do love the matchup strategy and completely get it, but I also love trying to find the favorable matchups that could fail. For example, how many people thought Bayern or Real would smash? What's the benefit of finding the favorable matchup that could fail? It's not like you can short those games. It's just like you don't buy those players, which is fine. Like more than one club that gets a good matchup every weekend. I will say on another part of this, what some people don't do when they think like, oh, when I have my whatever stack in Challenger, and when they're home against Kortrijk, I'm going to win. And that ignores that like Porto, Sporting, PSV, Galatasaray, like all have like incredible matchups that weekend too. And it's like, you might get a good score, but like, are you going to win if like the others have good matchups? It's almost like you need to look at the favorable matchup for everyone and really use that to determine how competitive your team really is. Mike said, does Keith's DFS background lead him into these strategies or this sort of outlook? DFS primarily short term, as it says it in the name. I think that Keith's research in DFS for DFS, leads to some parts of this strategy, but I assume like the outlook planning has nothing to do with DFS because like you don't care who they play next week. You just care if they're playing this week because we know who they're playing. Bogdan said, I don't think Hoffenheim with a good matchup will outperform Bayern or Leverkusen though. But like it depends who they play. What if they play each other? What if it's the week that Bayern and Bayer play each other? Although I think that just happened, right? Oh, maybe it didn't. Like, and also maybe it does. Maybe like an okay Bayern matchup is defeated by a very good Hoffenheim matchup, and you probably paid like 20% for a Hoffenheim game. Toby said selling off after the schedule is going from great to bad is something I'm doing on singular cards here and there, but I should do it a lot more. Also buy for the good schedule. So that's one of those things, and we've talked about it like so many times over the years that like it's so hard to sell a card that's performing really well because you're like, that's going to keep going. Like he has a goal in 10 straight games. Like he'll score every game for the rest of his life, surely. And you want those cards in your lineups. But like if you can analyze matchups that are coming up and you're like, I actually don't think this is going to continue, then yeah, maybe you should. And look for the person that will continue that streak for your own gallery. Lairdinho says, for a 5 to 6 game series, it feels like you need a team that doesn't rotate. Well, I think you could also just not buy only 5 players. But even Keith's Bettis thing wasn't like full 5-player stack. It was like it was like a goalkeeper and 2 defenders. And he was like, I'll play their defensive matchups and then I'll play around midfielder and forward. Like none of this was a full Bettis 5-player stack. So did this strategy work in classic season or only in season? I think it works in both. Absolutely. And Sora Cumry says, I buy a card for life and it works for me, which is fair. But if you're not winning, does it matter? I mean, Heidenheim had a nice run so far, but you wouldn't beat the Bayern, Leverkusen, or Borussia stacks so far. So it's not about the stacks, though. Like, get the stacks out of your mind. Like, the full 5-player stacks, like, can be used, yes, in, like, certain situations, but usually they're not the right play. Older Crypto Sissy Dragon said, I actually won a card in Sorare Data last month. Thank you for participating in the Sorare Data Lineups Projection Challenge. Ogden said, there are slim chances you will get your money back trying to sell off every 5 games. Do you think that's a combination of winning and getting your money back? Now, again, you could pick the wrong 5-game span. It's not like there's, and actually something that Surfula mentioned, I don't know if he said it on stream. I'll say it anyway. He was looking at, I think it was the Prem, that basically he was kind of making the argument of the 5 to 6 matches that Bettis had were so good that a lot of times teams don't have those runs. Like it was kind of like an outlier scheduling quirk that Keith was able to exploit. And my argument back to Surfula was you don't need, when you're playing the single league competitions, you don't necessarily need to have 5 great matchups in a row. They just have to be better than everyone else. Like the point of this game is not to score as many points as possible. You just have to score more points than everybody else. And if you can identify teams that are in positions to score more points than the others, that's the plus. Agent Cooper said, my light bulb moment came during a midweek when I noticed Japan were playing China and Bahrain. Suddenly, all my Japan international players were absolute world beaters. Matchups are everything in this game. Yeah, and those were like super outliers. Like Juni Ito had like 280s off the bench. Sorasol says, if you play a single league comp, say La Liga, and everyone thinks only 2 or 3 teams have a favorable matchup one week, you try to predict whether it will be Barca or Real that bottle it. Oh, okay. That you were saying about, yeah, that's fine. Alex said timing the sell is a masterclass in itself. Yeah, agreed. Major MT said may as well buy Russia and China players, but I find this boring. You can only play one though in season. That's why I think in season is so good. Mike said one thing to watch out for, I think, is these super weekends across the Euro leagues where most top teams play each other. Absolutely. As these often negate each other, you have a chance to find teams outside of it with great matchups. Totally agree, Mike. Toby said, and honestly, if Keith had Lo Celso, he probably could have won a division. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Rico Mon said, I'm trying to get out of Division 5 with a Mallorca team as they have a good run coming. Let's see what that good run is. We'll do it together. I don't even know. Oh, Leo Roman's team. All right, what do we got? Away to Espanyol, which is not bad. Home against Vallecano, which is great. Home against Athletic, just not. It's at home at least. Away to Alaves. Atletico home, which is not great. Las Palmas is fine. Valencia fine. Celta Vigo. Yeah, that's not bad. Not bad at all. Love it. And let's see. So game week, I think game week 19, it's either 19 or 21 is El Clasico. Let's see. So, okay, 21 is El Clasico, and that's Barcelona playing Bayern Munich midweek and then playing Real Madrid. So in 21, Leo Roman is home against Athletic. And I believe Atletico Madrid is against Betis because we talked about that. So that seems like a reasonable one to take. I don't know who else plays, but Mike said, let's not go back to the Marseille episode. Fixtures may be good, but still got to perform. Sure, absolutely. But like, I would rather players that are in good situations, like in good matchups, than better players in worse matchups. Which team has the next set of easy fixtures asking for a friend? Apparently it's Mallorca. Service said, I love Keith as much as the next guy, but was this 1 4-week game week period he stacked Real Betis really that special? It was successful. It looks like he climbed from Division 4 to Division 2. Big whoop, made 0.022 in ETH and profited over like 135 USD from sales. I mean, that is fine, but I'm not sure it warrants all this excessive hoopla. I totally disagree. Totally disagree that it doesn't just warrant this excessive hoopla. This is exactly what most people should be doing on the platform, because most people can't play the lineups that you do, Surface. Like, that's sort of the point. Let me see here. Hold on. 164. Like, so 135 from USD sales. He made 120 just on Rui Silva in like 4 weeks. Like, I think a lot of people would be perfectly content winning like that in 4 weeks using significantly cheaper cards than all of the ones that um, everybody thinks you need to have in La Liga. Playing the schedule is great, and users have been doing that since 2019. I don't think they have been, Surface. I mean, yes, there are people who do it, but I think people vastly overrate great players in mediocre matchups versus okay players in great matchups. And again, what somebody was saying, had he bought Lo Celso, he would have won something. And now we're talking about, is it okay to win $1,000 or $2,000? Probably not 2,000. Plus the humongous increase on Lo Celso. Like, surely he would have sold Lo Celso at this point too. Let's see. Sorry, I'm reading up on the chat. Yeah, surely most people would be happy profiting 135 pounds plus in a month. Yeah, agreed. And moving up from Division 4 to Division 2 allows him to compete for higher prizes. Are we blaming the man who just said buy the best players? There's no blame. There's no blame anywhere. Anyway, so I started buying some cheap players for Challenger. And Lairdinho said the big question now, did Keith buy a Bettis top with some of the winnings? I doubt it, because he didn't. I think if he finished first place, meaning had he bought Lo Celso and just won it, then I think he would have, but he didn't. Anyway, so I won. No, I didn't win. I came in second in Contender Rare in season somewhat recently, a couple weeks ago, and has allowed me to have a budget where I am willing to, I was going to say light money on fire, but I actually think I'm just dousing it in gasoline. I'm not actually lighting it yet, but petrol, for those of you who had no idea what gasoline is. But I decided, one of the things I've been kind of grappling with this season, and I really struggled as somebody who played classic competitions. I mean, I basically played classic competitions for obviously the whole time I've been on the platform. That's what we had. But when in-season competitions came out, I was not like against them, but I was like, I don't really want to outlay the money and deposit more. And I had deposited some like just before they announced all these changes and bought a bunch of cards that are basically worthless now. Shout out to Alexander Schultz. But so I like deposited money back in February and bought cards I thought would really help me in the future. Well, in the present and future. And then the whole game changed. And the move to in season, like, I'm not sure I would have deposited that money had they announced the in season stuff first, but it is what it is. So I was somebody who was like, I guess I will try to win cards in Classic, and when I have enough in season cards, like, I'll play. Like, that's how I was treating it. And I don't remember. It might have been when the new Midtjylland cards came out, as weird as that sounds, where I started to buy some. And I was like, oh, I have like in-season cards now. And I started playing in-season. And I started, actually, it wasn't, I think it was before that, because I was playing Contender. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But I started to play in-season competitions, particularly in Contender. And I was playing Contender competitions because the entry prices of competitive teams was way lower than Champion, Prem, La Liga, Bundesliga, and Challenger. And the top prizes were not drastically different. Like, the gap in card prices was much bigger than the gap in rewards. And so I decided to go after that. And so I played Contender Rare in season, and then basically just started playing Limited. And I didn't really play Limited that much at all. I played mostly Rare and Super Rare which is why I complain so much about super rares, because I am one of these people that plays it. But the opportunity to win like $1,000 with a contender limited lineup was attractive to me. And I'm trying to look at, I don't even know what's the prize for contender. So like Division 1 here it is. Division 1 in contender rare is $1,500. It's $1,000 to second. And in limited, it's $1,000 to first and $600 to second. $70 to sixth, if you're wondering. But I didn't feel like there was anywhere else on the platform, honestly, where the cost of cards was so much lower than the potential reward. And so I started going into contender. And it was a lot of cards I already had, like I already played Argentina and Norway and Mexico. Like I had cards for contender already. And so I ended up basically buying like in-season versions of cards that I had. And it was that simple idea of let me not go after the biggest prizes, but let me go after a big prize. And I consider like $1,500 or $1,000 like a good prize now in cash, when I can make a lineup for however much. And the however much is what sparked me this week. And so I had won some market credits over the last few weeks and hadn't really used them. And this week I decided to, actually it was last week I bought a card, but I was like, this guy has a run of a couple good games. And I bought the rare version of it. And I was like, maybe I'll buy the limited. And I went to buy it. And I think the card was, trying to look here I have a spreadsheet here. I don't even know. But I went to buy it on instant buy. And it was like, oh, my cost is half because of these market credits. And so I was like, all right, let me see if I can use my market credits to create some lineups to compete. And last week, let me double check here to see if I actually did, I think Challenger. So I did one for Challenger in season limited, which is in Division 2, and one for Contender, which is in Division 1. And my idea is essentially so I was like, how cheaply can I do this? And I wanted to play the matchups. And so for Challenger, I basically looked to see who had the best matchups. And this game week happened to be one where some of I would even call them, I don't want to call them anything but overlooked, because I'll offend somebody if I say otherwise. But I was looking at the overlooked teams in Challenger, and I'm like, some of them have really good matchups. And that doesn't mean that like PSV don't have a good one, and Sporting have a good one, but I think there are others. So essentially the teams, and Mike, I'm going to pull them up, don't worry. Westerlo, which I already knew, and was kind of invested in because I had that Haspelot card. Mechelen, Utrecht, Heerenveen. And I really like Tom Hay at Almere City now, who's taking set pieces. So let me pull the line up here and then I can show you. So I was like, what I'm going to do is buy a goalkeeper and try to get the set piece takers of the other teams that I'm interested in. It's as simple as that. I'm addicted to set pieces. I will always think that a set piece taker is better than a non-set piece taker. I don't care if your striker has scored 1,000 games in a row. If there's a winger who takes sets, I'm taking that guy. So, sorry, I'm trying to, whatever. I'll catch up on the chat. So here's the lineup. Now, I'm not sure anyone is like dying to get these guys. ever. Sinan Bolat is easily one of the worst goalkeepers on the entire platform. But he's home against Beerschot this weekend. So I don't care. That could be PSU fans 2 on that card, and I'm buying it for, what did I pay for that card? I got that card on instant buy for $5.89. $5 for an in-season challenger goalkeeper playing one of the 2 or 3 worst teams in his league. But thanks to market credits, I only spent $2.86. So I'll just go through it. That Kohlert card, that's the most expensive one. This card right here, Mats Kohlert. I have his super rare, which is a forward card. And he takes set pieces for Heerenveen. I spent, the buy price on that card was $6.96, also instant buy. And I spent, out of my wallet, was $3.47. The El Karani split sets for Utrecht. He's a Harry Trades favorite. That card cost $4.44 on instant buy. I spent $2.34. Haspelat was $4.78 on instant buy. I spent $2.39. And Patrick Fluke was $4.16, which I didn't use a market credit for, which I was furious about. And it actually is because I bought an instant buy one and totally forgot that I put in auction. So I actually have 2 of them. But that one cost $4.16. So this lineup right here, which again is in Division 2. Now, like Alex says, this lineup screams of relegation to D3. They are home against Beerschot, 2 of them. One home against Leuven, home against Walwick, and home against, is that Zwolle? Yeah. These are the matchups you want in. Easily. Any of these matchups PSV has, and you're like, I'm winning everything this week. Any of them. So this lineup out of my pocket, thanks to market credits, cost $15. Will I win? Probably not. But if I do, what do I get? $400. If I finish in the top 60, I'm even. Plus, I still have all my cards. Yeah, so Fripp said, I see the untitled spreadsheet tab. So yes, these are the numbers. I'm ruining the surprise on the contender team. I actually spent more on the contender team. These guys are all massive favorites this weekend. Mike says Heerenveen are risky at the moment because Van Persie's plan is not working yet. I don't care. You know what I care about? They are big favorites this weekend, and this guy takes all their set pieces. That's it. I'm not thinking beyond that. Should I think ahead where they play against NEC? That's fine. Sparta's not great, I'm not going to lie. Fortuna, go ahead. Like, there are times where this is a perfectly fine card to have. Like, they're all fine. Major NFT said the contender team is a better buy. So yeah, so I kept going. And I was like, let me do it for contender. So the contender team is a Tigres stack, which I didn't want to do. And honestly, I just got lazy. But that one cost me $21. That one, however, is in D1. And the top of D1 for contender, I believe, is $1,000. Yep, $1,000. So I was willing to spend the extra $6 out of my pocket. And for those of you who don't have market credits, you could have had this lineup for the challenger one for 26 and the contender one for 33. And so I was willing to pay the extra, what was it, $5? $7, not even? Because my upside is $400 from the Division 1 contender team to Division 2. And hopefully I'm in Division 1 for the next challenger one. So Limited Whale says a DNP would hurt so bad right now. Why? I got a whole lineup for $15. Like I said, I don't think the bookies have priced it correctly. That's fair. That's fair. Heerenveen are trash, but so are Zwolle. That's even how you say their name. Or they say that I bought one of their set piece takers too. I mean, and I'm not even going in with thinking I need a clean sheet. Where's the contender one? Just so we can all admire it. There you go. Like, what did I pay for a new season Cecilia? $7.83, thanks to that market credit. And the Usami one, I'll be honest, I bought previously. I don't know what Usami costs now. Could it possibly be more? Oh, it is. Oh, well, no, it's not. $392, and somebody got an auction for less. Is that today? Yesterday. Last night. Sorry if you can't see that. So that's the plan. And so Tigris, this is great. People sleeping on Tigris from Major NFT, and then Malky says Tigris are a bit shaky. Sure they are. Goriran only $3. I think that's what I paid. Wait, hold on. $363 on instant buy. Instant buy. Somebody got his auction for $2.11. Yes, this morning, midnight. So because of my contender second place finish in rare recently, I'm willing to spend $15 to see what happens here, or $40, let's call it. Toby said people are so elitist about which cards can win. 100 points is 100 points no matter what name is on the card. Exactly. Sander Tangvik scored 100 last week. Yeah. Nanzo said this is the Sorare equivalent to a $15 is that accumulator bet? I would argue that mine is, well, no, it's not, because I don't need all of them to hit to get a positive result. Hey, top 50%, I get a box. Mike said that's a strategy you should run as a challenge. Only run set piece takers. I would I want to do that. Every defender I have, I wish took set pieces. Every midfielder I wish took, that's what I want to do. Server said the logic may be flawed because Hasbulla only averaged like 65 in good matchups, but I so love this lineup and strategy. How is 65 just only? Like a 65 in season competitions is perfectly fine. Like, honestly, do I need to win? I mean, I would love to win. And do I need more than 65 to win? Like, probably. But again, he is on set pieces. So it's not so much, and everyone's like, oh, you might not get how many goals are scored off corners? Like, it happens. And if he gets it, that 65 becomes 95. Major Props would love to see it hit so we can hear about it the next 13 Fridays. You are sorely mistaken if you think it will only be 13. It will be every Friday for the rest of time if this works out. That's right. Jimmy Maurer scored 100 a month ago. Hopefully again this weekend. Sorry, just looking at the chat. Do you own an Eric Smith yet? CB with sets? No, I don't. He's expensive though. Bobby said you can win boxes and one decent pull. Like I got Carreras from Ica, and you are even on that challenger lineup. Yeah. You need more than 65 from your captain. If I want to finish first place, I do. You're right. Absolutely. Well, actually, I disagree. If everybody else gets 100, it's fine. Yeah, I was messaging Gator Guy and Tuggy about this. The three of us talk to each other a lot. And I made this challenge to myself that I wasn't going to spend more than $10 on any card. Now that meant in terms of these two lineups, and it was no more than 10 of my dollars. So I could buy like a $18 card, but because I got a 50% market credit, it was only $9. The only card that did cost more than 10 on its own, though, was that Cecina card. The next highest was Guzman at $8.10, and that was my own mistake because I was going to buy him one night and I waited, and then the price ran up on me, and I was furious about it. Like it was this auction right here, Satonio, of course. I just missed it. I may have even bid on it, and then somebody took the next instant buy, and I was like, damn. And then literally the next auction, I overpaid for it. And I didn't want to buy it. So, that was the other thing. My thought is to continue that, like use some of these cards continuously. And so if you notice, like one of the strategies that we kept talking about on Wednesday's show with Surfula was that he was not taking advantage of the classic card in like Prem in season. And if you notice that both of these lineups are all like 5 in season cards, and Tuggy was actually one of the ones who pointed out to me, he's like, I forget which player it was that I wanted. It was the guy from Charleroi, not Zorgain, because he was the one who was not Haynens, but Haymans. Is that his name? Yeah. This guy. I was going to buy this. So they're away to Dender. And he's pretty good. Doesn't take set pieces. But I was like, I'll buy him. But and he was like, just buy the classic. And I was like, if I want to move any of these cards, selling in-season cards is a lot easier than selling classic cards. And if I have like one classic card that fits here, and I have to, and I want to play like a different old card, like now I'm stuck. Now I can't do it. So Major MT said the League MX cards are good for 2025 too. Yeah, they're good until May 2025. Austin Sean, what's the best way to see if a player takes sets? So there are 2 ways to do it. The way that I basically do it is if you go on the team page and you can either just search a team here on Sorare data, or if you just click the team on a player page. I change this to L5 because they haven't played 15 games this season. I just scroll to the bottom and we have corner takers here. That's literally the extent of my research. Will you be doing this for the upcoming game weeks with international matches? No. I absolutely hate international football and will do nothing to change my gallery to benefit from it. Mike said, I had a patch of identifying attacking players who picked up clearances off the line because they are on posts for defensive corners. I love that. Wow. All right, let me I might have caught up on the chat, actually. I feel like there was a bunch that I missed. Fripp said, I'd love to see a column here that shows the ceiling, perhaps based on L15 or L5. I assume that. So like you could actually see that on the lineup builder. If we go back now, it's probably a little tough to put them all together. Like I know what you're saying, but I'll just show this anyway for anybody who wants to see it. So if we pull up this Challenger, yeah, let's do the Challenger in season 1. I'll show the pick player so that these guys show up too. But if you go to the form tab here, you can see their literal ceilings, floors and ceilings throughout. So we could even just change it to just show the limiteds and the in-season ones. Did I lose that? All seasons, there we go. In season, apply. So you can see that's where they are. Although I don't think this is right. Fluke says ceiling is 100, but I don't see 100 here. Huh. Why would that show 100? Has he ever scored 100? Oh, once. Oh, maybe it's all time. Oh, no, it's not in his L15 though. I wonder if these are mixed. Good thing we found that. Somebody wants to email Sorare data about that. That'd be great. Anyway, and you could, yeah, that's one way to do it. Bobby said, I wonder what that team cost in rare. I don't know. I was going to do it right now, but Mulkey called me out on the classic card. There you go. So yeah, that's the idea. So I was messaging a Gator guy and Tuggy about it, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to spend more than $10 on a card for this exercise. And he was like, oh, it's like a Road to Glory. And I've never been somebody like, I don't watch Road to Glory content. And part of me was thinking how like this is not necessarily like bad strategy, but this does fall under the conversation that I think Keith and I actually, was it Keith? Yeah, it was. Probably part of that Bettis conversation that I think there are people who play this game suboptimally because they put certain restrictions on themselves and then complain that they don't have the success. Like it's one thing to know, like if you're doing a Road to Glory, like you know it's going to be hard. But there are other people who are like, oh, I just want to play, I'm going to win Prem with like a $40 lineup. And you're like, do you realize the goalie's $38? And they're like, I'm going to do it. And like, kudos to those guys who go after it that of these like completely unrealistic things. But I was starting to think like maybe this is realistic. And again, because of this finish that I had, I was able to like, I won money on Sorare and won these market credits. And I wanted to just keep playing. I like to win money in Sorare because it allows me to keep playing Sorare. And so this thing, and he was like, oh, it's like a Road to Glory. And I'm like, not really, because I'm just fucking around. And I'm like, oh, it's a fucking around to glory. That's what I'm doing. So that's the FATG. And I wasn't sure, and apologies for swearing, but I'm going to keep doing it in case you have like kids around and you're listening, but I'm going to keep swearing. But I still actually haven't decided if it's fuck around to glory or fucking around to glory. But either way, these are the guys that I have right now. I was going to do a second lineup and I couldn't get, Vasilis, is that his first name? Barkas from Utrecht, that goalie. I couldn't find one cheap enough to use a market credit to get him under $10. But I was going to buy Barkas to make a second lineup, but I just didn't get there. So I have one challenger and one contender lineup for this game week. And yeah, that's it. So major NFT, I wish I could win market credits in soccer the way I do in MLB. So 99.9% of my market credits in MLB are completely unused and wasted because I don't buy baseball cards. And I was going to buy them and I just didn't. It just struggles. And so I never really thought they were going to be like, I never thought I would use them in football, to be honest. And as soon as I got them, I was like, oh, this is cool. And actually, so that Mats Kollert card, I bought a Mats Kollert rare using a market credit. And you get those from playing in-season comps. So it's a recycling thing. And Nanzo, this is exactly what, the fuck around and find out. That's where this came from. It's the fuck around to glory is basically the fuck around and find out chart. And we'd been talking about it a while that like the in-season competitions are just so much better prize-wise than the classic ones. And everybody looked at that as like a nerfing of classic, even though the classic competitions are basically the same. But the in-season ones are just too good. 50% get a box. The boxes get you market credits. And it's not even like, I was going to say, it's not even like you have like a low chance of market credits, but I actually have no idea. Let's see. No, like, so like this is the in-season Division 2. So it's not even a 5-star box, 4-star box. 15% for 20 card essence, 25% for 5, 40%. Why did they order this like this? Oh, 15, 20, 25, 40. So an 80% chance at either 5 or more essence and 20% for market credits. Now, up to $5, is that going to get you very far? Yes, it will. Yes, it will. I don't know what the contender D1 boxes. I assume these are 5 stars. Yeah, 20% chance of a $50 market credit up to $10. 10 essence minimum. Like they're just the boxes are great there. And the fact that like 50% of people get them. And the number of people, and I'm not saying I'm the one who like discovered this. Obviously, I'm late to it. But yeah. Major NC said, but I've won $5 in soccer and I'm over 1,000 in MLB. That's for the market credits. Just can't care to spend more in MLB. I have $848 in market credits for baseball. Sorry, I didn't mean to show off. Giving out boxes like it's Christmas. And I think that there is a cheap way to basically box farm in season. And I'm hoping that these 2 lineups show that you can do it by playing matchups. And one of the things I was not going to talk about today because I hadn't even thought about it. Sorry, Germ said I got an in-season fits for lower than the classic floor for the Austrian special because of market credits. Yeah. But one of the things that came up today was DraftKings daily fantasy contests are no longer available in the UK. And I played DraftKings football, like soccer. They call it soccer. I played DraftKings soccer. I did a ton of content for DraftKings soccer in my old job. And I know that there are a lot of people who absolutely love DFS soccer and are upset that it's not available now in the UK. And I don't want to say that Sorare is exactly like DraftKings because it's not. I do know a lot of people who played daily fantasy football, I can call it here, soccer, whatever, and came over to Sorare, like Gator Guy, PSU fans too. There are a bunch of others that I probably shouldn't necessarily say out loud. Those are the 2 big ones. The in-season competitions on Sorare, are closer to DFS than they've ever been. That I spent $15 in an effort to try to win 400, which people do all the time on DFS. And the main difference is if I don't win this week, I have my cards and I can use them again next week. And I think that the in-season gameplay that Sorare has right now is more attractive to the DFS audience than ever before. And if you are somebody who played DFS soccer, and I don't know why you would be watching this 64-ish minutes in and don't play Sorare, but if somebody wants to clip this, if you're somebody who played DraftKings football in the UK and you now don't have the ability to do that, I think Sorare could be very attractive to you. Yeah. Or Jump, you said, or you could sell your cards. Like that's actually one of the things that Gator Guy had done for a long time is that he would try to DFS certain game weeks. And the idea is like, I have this lineup that I had. Let's say I paid the full $26 for it. Actually, let's do the $33, $34. I'll round up for that contender lineup. There are plenty of people who will spend $34 on entry fees to try to win $1,000 on DraftKings, and they will lose, and they won't cash anything. So that $34 is gone. DraftKings is gone on Sorare. Even if you sell your cards for $24 after, $12 after, you do get something back. And Gator Guy has always been one who's like, it's costing me $34 to enter this contest. Or did I say 34? Yeah. And if I can get something back afterwards, great. But if I don't win, I can sell my cards and it's not like a loss. But you can also just keep them. Or maybe one of the cards, the guy has an absolute banger and like the price happens to go up. Or everybody sees after Tigres win 3-0 this weekend, like, oh, wow, there are a lot of Tigres games left because these cards are good until May, and now it goes up. Mike said, is what you said a danger to us in the UK with what's going on? I have no idea. I know that Sorare pleaded not guilty today to this gambling charge and that it'll be in court in June, which last I checked was after the end of the European season. Now, I'm not saying they're exactly the same at all, but like, as we discussed earlier, and particularly like referencing Keith, there are a lot of skills that you develop playing daily fantasy football that translate to Sorare, that translate to having success on Sorare. And so I think it's worth a try. Now, again, if you're new, like you're going to have to work your way up at a Division 5 or Division 4 if you start in rare, but it's there. And it's a significantly more engaging game than DFS soccer. And are the stakes as high? They're not, particularly because you can't play like head to head. And so like not playing head to head, like if you're like, I want to stake $1,000 and win $2,000, like you can't do that on Sorare because it's not the same kind of platform. But if you wanted to spend $1,000 on cards and try to win $5,000 in what's actually, no, it's 2,500 in for the Prem. I don't even know. I don't enter the Prem, whatever it is. Like maybe it's worth checking out. That's all. Anyway, I think I got through everything that I wanted to get through today. I kind of wanted to apologize for like referencing specific cards that I bought or things that I played, because I try not to do that on this channel, even on today when I'm just talking with the live chat. But I think, and again, I'm speaking on this very confidently because I feel like this strategy works, but it might not. You could come back on Monday and it's like, hey, how'd that lineup do? And it's like, oh, it's great. I scored 146 points. And so, yeah. And he said the stream can't end until Marvin DAs. How far along are they in this match? Two one, and he doesn't have a decisive? What's going on here? Why not? Oh, I have a lot of guys in play right now. I didn't even know that. This is exactly right. Fixtures over individuals. Now, again, people are going to take this at the extreme and be like, oh, so like Jude against last place team in La Liga is a bad, and it's like, no, like obviously we all want great players and great matchups. The problem is that they don't line up all that often. And you can be like, oh, well, just Bayern Munich has a good matchup every game week. And it's like, all right, then just play that. Good luck. 2 unassisted goals. Oh, does he have a big chance created? Bonacek? Oh, no, he doesn't. This is outrageous. Unassisted goals are just like so selfish. I now check when I check games on our website now, and it's like the player timeline's not there, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's not here. That's why the app is so much cooler. That's all right. Marvin's cooking though. Don't worry. But anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about. And we'll see. Like, I don't have an exit strategy on these 5 cards. I think, well, actually, let's look. I don't know why wouldn't we just look? Like, what do these cards look like after the international break? What is that, game week 19? Because yeah, 19. Let's see. Did I already make teams for 19? I haven't. Wow. I'm slacking here. All right. So I have I have a Rotterdam stack that I bought for the Eredivisie special, which ended up being a disaster. But anyway, let me just go through. So Bolat is home against Bruges. That seems pretty awful. Kohlert's away to NEC, which I'm surprised there. I guess Mike taught us that that's actually a bad one. So Haspelot also against Bruges. Fluke home against Kortrijk. That seems pretty good. And yeah, I ended up with 2 of them by accident. And then there he is, away to Groningen. So it's not ideal. So maybe I just move. I mean, Bolat is going to be bad in every matchup other than this weekend, probably. And Bruges, I mean, Westerlo flies sometimes. I'm not sure that's like a terrible home matchup. The odds are certainly not going to be in their favor, but I don't know if it's that bad. I also don't have, so the other one, who does Tom Hay, they're at Sparta. Yeah, that's not any better. All right, so we got some work to do. And then in Contender, what does that look like? You know what's funny is that I spent like 20 minutes of this stream talking about how important matchups are, and like over a span, and within like 30 minutes, I'm just like, oh, these guys have bad matchups literally next week. Tigres are away to Monterrey. That seems bad. Ooh, Necaxa though. If only I had a Necaxa stack. If only. Well, we got some work to do. And that's what I'll do over the next Rosenborg and Bran. Oof. Maybe Velas. Yuck. Anyway. Let's see who they go after that. So that's the Kortrijk, yeah. And then Dender for who's that? Fluke. And then for Westerlo, after Bruges, St. Trunden, then home against Dender. Like, these are fine. I have, actually, you know what? I think I have a Montez rare. Surely do. And I have an Unsane. Yeah. We'll have to play that one in rare. Beg Satonia. I mean, yeah, like what happens? So again, I use market credits for all these. If I can sell all of these cards, like I send these 5 cards to a bot and they offer me this much money, maybe we'll even just add the 5% fee, right? I get a $16 offer for these cards and I win nothing this game week. Is that a win? I know Gator Guy is saying that's an overwhelming win because I got all my money back and I got an opportunity to win $400 with those cards. I'm not going to say the next part out loud. Anyway, I think that's all I got. You guys have like 20 seconds in the chat to give me something else to talk about, or we just say goodbye. It's an emotional loss. It's a win if you break even. Surely, like, it's a free sweat, right? And it let me have fun trying to find these cards. Like, you know, if we're going to put a price on fun, I had fun doing that. The inevitable Tigres breakdown will not be as fun, but I know it, but at least I know that's coming. But yeah, it's I'm just playing So Rare in a very different way now because of how much I've decided to focus on in season. And a lot of it is actually not the cash, it is the boxes. And yeah, boxes are fun. What would you want to win with the team to call it a win? I want to win first. I want to be in first place. But obviously, like if I win, let's see, what was the prize pool, did we say? This is the contender prize pool. So, and this lineup cost, out of pocket expense was $22. but full buy price was 33, 34. So even for people who don't have the market credits, like, is it 20 plus obviously it depends like what's in the box. There's like a 7 joke there somewhere, but like, who knows? Who knows? Do you really believe you'll win first? I think, I'm not saying that it's like impossible to have a better lineup, but I feel like this lineup is in a very good position to score better than everyone else. Tigres have an incredible matchup. I have 3 players from Tigres. I think Gorriarán is the weak link of this lineup. And it's mostly because I ran out of time for getting other players that I think would be better. And I just knew he had the really good matchup. Usami and Cecina have decent matchups. I mean, they're good, but I think the Challenger one makes more sense to win. This one. Like, do I believe it'll come in first? I don't know. Can it? Sure. Essentially any lineup could. And it's like, if this lineup wins because Haspelot, one of his corners, actually gets on somebody's head and it becomes an assist, and Fluke scores a Fluke goal, haha, and the other 2 just kind of do their jobs at 70 total points, Bolot gets the clean sheet, like, you're looking at that lineup and you're like, yeah, that's a good lineup. Because you look at the matchup, like, afterwards, you're looking at the matchup and you're like, oh yeah, you got 2 decisives because there was a header goal off of this guy's corner, and someone else scored an open play, or Kohler somebody gets a last man, you get a bailout decisive, but you're just like, oh, they're all set piece. Like, it all makes sense. I don't care who wins as long as Bolot should win, because I need a Haspelot clearance. Although maybe he gets a clearance off the line. Last man tackle. And so, like, yeah, I think it could win. Sure. I think if you were looking at all of the lineups and like eliminating all the ones that can't win, I don't think you would eliminate that one. I'll put it that way. Should have got Huang J from Daegu. And Kev Hurd says no Brunetta. Brunetta's been terrible. He also is not playing. Agent Cooper said, even if you have a disastrous game week, it's the anticipation of a potentially great one that is the fun part. I love that Friday feeling after setting my lineups. Or is it the hope that kills you? No, I think this is the best part of it. Like, I've done the fun part. And obviously, like, winning is fun, but the fun part is putting together a lineup that you think can be competitive. And I think that one can be competitive. And I never really make lineups expecting to win, because I know that winning is really hard. And I've won before. And it's hard. But I feel like I've done enough work that I'm putting in a competitive lineup. I would argue that I put in a competitive lineup irrespective of cost. I just also happen to do it with a cost constraint that may make this game look pretty attractive to people if they're like, wow, I didn't realize you could win $400 with a team. Like, how about this? Not only do I think I'm going to win Division 2, I'm going to score more points in Division 1. And everybody will be like, see, if only you had been in Division 1. But I think it'll be fine. Limited Whale, do you think buying a fixture-proof classic smasher would be beneficial? I thought of it. So, like, for the contender one, I had Gorriarán was the last spot I bought. And like you saw, I bought an in-season one. I was looking at like Wendell, like a classic Wendell, or Marvin, like guys. I thought about it, and they're all just much more expensive. And so I don't think it's the wrong strategy. Like, I think the like buying Wendell probably was the more optimal play, but Wendell limited cost more than an entire lineup. And Kev Hurt 68 points in a goal in Brunetta's last game. He played 12 minutes off the bench in his first appearance. I guess he had a red card. I was never buying Brunetta in this situation. Can we have an update via shorts as the games roll in? No, but maybe we live sweated at some. I don't even know when these guys play. Let's see. October 4th, which is Bolot plays today. Maybe we do. Wait, is that today? Hold on. It's so funny. Like I don't even know. They do play today. How about that? Maybe, Mike. I will say if Westerlo win today and Haspelat gets a decisive, I will. Yeah, I'll do something. Philly Dilly said, regarding fixture-proof smashers, in the era of Essence, you need to be jamming as many teams at a level as you can to earn Essence quickly, so your pool of cards should be big. Hurts fixture-proof cards. I don't understand that. Why would that hurt fixture-proof cards? I knew Germ, yeah, I knew Tom Hay played today. I got a lot of yellow scores amongst the guys I need today. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. And again, like if it doesn't work, then I'm willing to go back and figure out why it didn't work. And if it didn't work because like Westerlo conceded a penalty and then Bolot ended up scoring 26, like that's a results over process situation. Like I think from a process standpoint, what I did was right. And so we'll see. We'll see. All right, that's all I got. Thank you, everybody, for coming. If you could please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Shout out to Quinny. I think, had a pretty good week of content. I'm not going to lie. I highly recommend going back. All of the shows this week were good. If you haven't gotten them, if you have already watched them, I really appreciate that. It means a lot. And yeah, please make sure you like those videos as well. And yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Good luck to everyone. Don't forget to get those steps in.